All right, so I received my Wednesday Club letter, and it's actually 2 letters in one, and I'm in the process of deciphering it, right? It's not all intelligible or legible, right? But so right now, I'm looking at the date, and I decide what better place to start than in the Baltimore Sun when it gives me this article, and I'll show you. All right, so I'm at April 23rd, 1881, the date of the earlier letter, right? Because I said there's 2 letters. And so I'm just scrolling through, looking at the headlines here, right? Cattle driving in the streets, the subject discussed yesterday, views for and against the practice, right? A vigorous opposition to it, right? Because it's dangerous to be running them cattle through the streets of Baltimore. They are narrow streets. Right? Bunch of classified ads here, right? And then there's this one. Where is it? The photographs. Transmission of sound by light. And I was like, well, I have to click on that one. Right? And so I downloaded it, and here we go. I only read like the first 2 sentences. Right? The photophone. Transmission of sound by light. Dr. A. Graham Bell of Washington, D.C., inventor of the Bell telephone, gave an account yesterday in Hopkins Hall, Johns Hopkins University, of his new invention, the photophone. Dr. Bell is well known as a scientist, not only in this country, but throughout Europe. And last year received the VOLTA Prize of the French government. It's the VOLTA! The remarkable instrument known as photophone he invented about a year ago, so in 1880. And some additions which have been made to it were first made known on Thursday afternoon before the National Academy of Sciences in Washington. And we've talked about the National Academy of Sciences. The inventor explained that what he had in view in this matter of the photophone was the substitution of a ray of light between telephonic stations in place of wire for the transmission, or rather the reproduction of sound. A strong beam of light sent from one telephonic station to another enables the sound to travel along enables the sound to travel along it as along a wire. Mr. Summer Tainter was also associated with Dr. Bell in making the experiments which led to successful results. So successful television transmission in 1881. Dr. Bell went back to 1817 when Berzelius discovered tellurium and later selenium and traced the history of these metals in connection with telegraphy up to the present time, giving the part they had played in the construction of the photophone. In 1873, Willoughby Smith discovered that selenium offered as much resistance as a telegraph wire reaching from the Earth to the moon. How? But this resistance was found to be very variable, very variable, and affected by light. Selenium was used by the experimenters in order to have the rays of light vary. The metal was put into cells, and these connected with a telephonic and galvanic battery. A beam of light was thrown through an aperture, and successful trembling of the rays of light, given at the... A beam of light was thrown through the aperture, and a successive trembling of the rays of light, given at the rate of 600 to 1,000 per second, by the turning of a wheel, produced the sound. The greatest distance to which thus sound transmitted is 1¼ miles. Cylinders of selenium transmitted... Cylinders of selenium were made later to be used in connection with parabolic mirrors. The whole matter is accomplished by the variation of the intensity of a ray of light. A transmitter was described made of a thin mirror, which, when spoken against, by its disturbance caused a variation in the beams of light which it reflected. These rays, collected in a parabolic reflector, reproduced the words spoken against the mirror. This has been done successfully at a distance of 900 feet. An interesting account was given of the putting of various substances to intercept the ray of light. An opaque ebonite substance would not stop the ray of light, though the intervention of a hand would. An invisible beam came through the ebonite? I don't know. And produced sound. It was shown that different substances gave off different degrees of sound. It was shown that different substances gave off different degrees of sound when a ray of light was thrown on them. And an instrument for measuring such measuring such differences of sound was described. Lampback was found to answer in a place of selenium for producing electrical disturbance. By means of these new discoveries, the speaker stated that he anticipated that what he called and explained as the spectrophone would be an adjunct to the spectroscope. Those adjuncting scopes. All right, so incredibly, this is the end of the article. This is how it ends. But really, kind of unbelievable. What are they saying with this thing? I mean, someone smarter than me is going to have to explain it, but it certainly seems to me that they had television in 1881 at the latest, right? So there could have been earlier televisions than 1881. I mean, Alexander Graham Bell is involved in this. Did you know about this? I never heard of this before. And so this was my cold read through, having fun with the lies, right? So until the next one, cheers, guys.
That just happened.